Hello, welcome to the Daily Loop. Let's get into it. Transfer bids. Just the one, and I know who it is. It's this really slow striker for our youth team. Same situation as the other day in our youth squad. We actually don't have enough players to sell anybody, so we'd have to buy somebody first. So moving on to the scouted players list. Right, this is the most expensive player we've ever had, actually, in our scouted players list, I think. So I think beyond us, let's just quickly check what our projection even is. It is beyond us financially. Well, maybe not technically. I think maybe technically, because we could get the 5 million injection if we played our matches today, which we've got to play them at some point. So, and we're really running out of time here. Actually, today is the last day, isn't it? Let's have a look. Yeah, we got to play them today or not at all. I think we would like to at least play the senior ones. I mean, we will at least be able to have the game in the background and click requests to get the cash, even if we don't get to play them ourselves, I think. So, but yeah, really good keeper, but I think even with the 5 million, we don't quite afford him unless we sell somebody else, and even then, it's like, same. We already had this conversation about really not wanting to tie up this kind of wages and whatnot in a player, so he's really good though. If we're in a high division and whatnot, like, we would seriously consider this guy. But anyway, moving on, just super expensive for us, basically. This guy just too old, but pretty good as well. And this guy, yeah, just not what we're looking for. Really high wages as well. Don't use left back. Don't use left back. Too old. Don't use left back. He's okay. He's like the age we want. I think he's just not quite good enough compared to what we've got. But in and of himself, he's kind of okay. I mean, he's a bit slow, which is an issue, but it's fine if we paired him with a faster one. I think outside of being slow, though, he's probably not quite there on the other stuff to make up for it. I think we would want closer to 80 tackling, but he's not quite. When I say quite, I mean literally quite. Like, you're talking a few attributes short here. I think we'd want one of two things, to be honest, to consider. So one of them would just be 80-ish or more than 80 tackling, so he could play the stopper role, or for our specific setup, we probably wouldn't be interested. But maybe if he had like really, really high marking, we could make use of him. Anyway, he doesn't, but he's not far off. He's good. He's really good. He's good, but just the thing is, we've got really good other centre DCs that are young, so he's being compared to them, not compared to like random other players. Like, for example, if we bought an AMC, they're not really if we bought a DMC or MC, the benchmark is much, or even AMC, quite frankly, the benchmark is much lower for us. I think the stronger players we've got at the moment are our strikers, our DCs, and our wide midfielders. So it is the DMC, AMC, and MCs that are a bit weaker on average for us. This guy, just not good enough. This guy, not quite where he needs to be. And again, with DCs, not only have we got strong ones or whatever, but we've also got a pretty good one in our youth team. I think we've also got 2 or 3 academy trial graduates lined up at DCs at the moment. I mean, to be honest, when we're doing this going forwards, it probably makes more sense for us to do the trialists before we do this, because the trialists that we've got lined up impact the decisions on these young players. We'll do that in the future. I think not quite good enough. Wow. Okay. It's very similar to this other guy we were just discussing, but there is a material difference here. Really, is that he's 3 years younger, and on less than half the wages. His marking is really low. That's one thing to take note of here. So we really would only want him for this stopper role. If we go to his player profile, I think we can go to career progression and clear, and we can do something like, we haven't done this before, but we can check. So his tackling, for example, has just steadily been going. Where did it start? 60 maximum, 62, 65. He hasn't been owned by anybody, so it is just the random, well, not random, but the age choices. So 65, 68, 70, 70. There's no reason like that. It could be higher, I think. If it had plateaued the last couple of seasons, maybe it, that wouldn't be as good, but I don't know. The stuff that let's look at the other key stuff, to be honest, whilst we're here doing this little exercise. So let's say marking. Now that's really, really low anyway, so we wouldn't, it does matter, but we wouldn't be putting him in a role where that matters. I think the other one is speed. Now this is an indicator that it's just plateaued, I think. So this is what we were talking about before with the tackling. The aerial ability still going up. Composures. See, this is the thing as well. Like, you would think that it had plateaued, but then it ended up, like, it's not always. It's just an indicator. It's not an absolute. So it's still totally possible the speed may end up going up. It's just an indicator. So, I think one thing we can do is compare this guy to. Because we've got a 19-year-old DC, I think, in our youth squad. Yeah, we can compare him to this guy. And this guy's got much higher marking. And he's still maybe got extra speed left. I think we won't get him just again because we've got this other guy who's 19. He probably is a bit better. And we've got graduates coming through. I think 3, which we really want to get them games. And if we buy this guy, it's just going to block them from coming through, from getting matches, I mean. So I think we won't get this guy, but I think even with this speed limited, the fact that the tackling can still go up, and yeah, it's a shame. We'll pass. But it's good DC. Right, this guy, again, we've got graduates coming through. Oh, wow. Gosh, wasn't. Right, so now this guy is a bit different in that this type of speed is like not normal at all. If we go to his profile, click on career history. Okay, so he has, was it somebody till February, which wasn't recently at all. So let's go to speed. That still potentially can go up a bit more. No, that's, what are we looking at? Sorry, speed. Yeah, potentially. Again, it looked like maybe you would have thought it plateaued, but then no. So the other one that we really care about is tackling. Now, again, this is the thing. It's like it didn't go up at all that first season, and then it hasn't gone up at all this last one. I think 83, 59 marking. So I think we're comparing this guy conceptually in our senior team. He's going to be doing a similar role to this guy. So he's faster than this guy. He's got better tackling than this guy. Does he have better marking than this guy as well? I think this guy's got much better aerial ability. Composure. both got similar marking. This guy's got 52 passing and 47 vision though. I think this guy's really bad passing and vision, yeah. And the other guy, so I think he might, and this guy's 21, but the other guy's 23. Okay, so the other guy's older. That guy's on 210k wages. This guy's on 450k wages. So this guy's definitely better, but he is 2 years older. He has got more than double the wages. He does cost 2.5 million. So we probably end up passing on this guy, but again, just because of the depth. I think in the end, this is the one guy where I'll come back and think a bit after, because the thing is, like, these level, when you get attributes into the 80s, you know, that's just rare. That's the thing. But yeah. Moving on. Use right back. Don't use right back. Don't use right back. Don't use right back. Don't use left wing back. Pretty good, but whatever. Too old for us, so let's not bother too much. I think just not quite for 20. We want somebody better overall than where he's at. It's not quite, like, he's quite well rounded ish. I think, I don't know, just if he had higher, if the passing, tackling and vision were all in the mid 70s, we would consider this dude. Don't use right wing back. Don't use right wing back. Too old. I think not quite good enough. I think not, just on the basis that, well, he's not probably quite there, and yeah, he's just not quite there. There's a few things here, and also that he's 21 instead of 20, so he can't play in the youth team next season even. It's probably not quite good enough for the senior team. These are the type of players that we'd be looking for potentially at the beginning of next season, to once we've worked out what our tactic is for our youth team and know what we're short of, and, you know, even though they're not quite there or whatever, that, like, we would just get them so that we have the players, you know, because at the end of the day, they're not good enough, they're not quite there, blah 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 blah, but we've also got a bunch of players in our youth team that just will never be there no matter what. Like, they're just miles away, and we could do some upgrades on them. But, you know, also in the case of this, like, the wages really matter as well. Like, for a player that isn't there and isn't going to make it properly, we don't really want that type of wages either. We want more this type of wages, but obviously this guy's not good enough. I think, for example, this guy, this might be the kind of guy that we just buy, even though we know he's not, you know, quite there, not quite compared to what we'd want with 2 sets of training boosts supplied, blah blah blah. But if he just was okay for the position and whatever, we could just get him, pay the 50k wages, whatever. Ideally the purchase price would be a bit lower, but, you know, you get the point. I think this if this is the type thing, this purchase price, this wage, but wasn't quite there. It's just that this guy's just, yeah, he's horrible. He's compared to the guys that we've got. So this might, yeah, again, just high wages. So it's just a case of finding the balance. I think this guy as well just isn't quite there for 3 sets of training boosts supplied. Too old. Too high wages as well on this other guy. This guy, like I'm saying, when you look at these 80s, he has got that nice little combination: 85 speed, 81 work rate, 79 endurance. So we're just giving him his due, so to speak, having a proper look. So a lot of the other stuff obviously is not there. It's still below 60. Plenty of it's below 50. Having said that, like, most of it is at least 40. Except, I guess, for the natural fitness, which, yeah, it's not as big a deal because of that really high endurance. The crossing, which kind of doesn't really matter that much for an MC, and the composure, which doesn't matter as much as other stuff. Matters a bit, depending on factors. Finishing composure combination is it's not great, to be honest, but it's not zero sort of thing. The long shots is not particularly great, but again, like 46 is way. These things being like finishing 40, long shots 46. Even though it's not high, it's still way better than 20 and 26. Like if he gets good quality chances, he will still take them with reasonably. Sometimes, I guess, might be the way to put it. The passing and vision, I don't know. I think he's not quite really. It's sort of tempting because of that really high speed and work rate for our box-to-box midfielder. He'll get up and back lightning fast, and he's got the endurance to back it up to some degree. If he started though with that lower natural fitness, I think he would still not actually make it to the end of the match, even with that 79 endurance, with that sort of speed and work rate. So the benefit of this guy is less about that his other attributes are good. It's more about that if he was the box-to-box midfielder for us, he would just have a generally higher level of involvement. He would be back more often to help defend. He would be up more often to help attack. And just being there more often has intrinsic value in and of itself. Now, how much value does that have when he has... I think in the case of the defending with the 53 tackling, the positioning kind of actually for the box-to-box midfielder, ironically, it's less important because like he will be up when we attack, and then when we're defending, he'll always be chasing back and arriving late kind of thing. So I guess it matters still, just not quite as much as somebody who's sort of already back and set, finding the right position to like waiting for the attack to come, sort of thing. I don't know. Let's just look through the rest, and honestly, I don't think we will come back to these DCs. The difference with the MCs in that we kind of do need. We're still on the lookout. Like we need a, we need a third choice one. We don't want to run this guy anymore because he's too old. And what's this other guy's wages, to be honest? Because one of the benefits of all these really low attributes could be that so it's 275k wages. 22 years old. Let's have a look. Is there any other 22-year-olds? Yeah, ceiling. So ceiling is 65. It's not great, but it's not nothing. What's our ceilings like that we've got? Keeper's not the best. 22. So 65. Starting squad 59. What about if we go to the auctions? So only 22-year-olds? Yeah, right. So 70, 67, 67, 70, 69, 64, 67. So he's lower than these, well, higher than this guy, but he's not thing is, he's not miles away. He's got decent there. And because of the box to box, I don't know if I'm convincing myself into something here that makes zero sense, to be honest, because speed, generally speaking, is not that important for MCs. Generally, I don't know if the box-to-box midfielder, for example, is the big exception because they can get up and back more. I don't know. It's a genuine thing. It's going to depend on the team, the match, and stuff as well, because it's still going to depend on how fast our attacks break down and the opposition attacks break down, how fast the transitions happen and so on. At the end of the day, no matter how fast this player is getting up and back in certain situations, certain matches, certain level of frequency, it won't be fast enough anyway. It's just what is that frequency? How often does this 85 speed, 81 work rate versus, I don't know, let's say, versus somebody else that we're happy with that we bought. I think this guy is, again, we bought this guy to be that guy, but he doesn't have the work rate. It's very similar. So maybe we don't need him because we have this guy, to be honest. Has a low work rate though. versus something like this. But I think we won't get him because we already have the faster guy who isn't as fast. But the thing is, part of the benefit of having a faster one and a slower one is that they will naturally offset them, because the faster one will be getting back further to defend, and the slower one will be getting back slower to defend. So they will naturally be offset, and then when possession is lost or whatever, we gain possession or whatever, and we attack, when we transition, if it's sort of halfway through, then one of the players will be further back than the other, and then they'll be moving up, and one of them will be ahead, but the faster one will generally be behind, type of thing. Like, there will be a natural offset. Obviously, it's an offset that will not be a permanent offset, though. It will gap close and they'll be in line, and then they'll offset again back and forth. But they won't be permanently sort of in line because they have the same sort of speed and work rate. So I think we'll pass on the guy on the basis that we already got a faster one. I think the question is this guy better or not? Probably, because he's got the 70 passing just all by itself. That probably makes him better, because it's pretty important for the MC. So let's just move on. I think we don't get him. This guy, too old, too high wages, too old, too high wages. Don't use left winger. Don't use AML. Don't use AML. Don't use AML. Only one AMC, and yeah, we won't get him because he's not quite blah blah blah. But again, this is probably the type of candidate that we might get if we just already had our youth team set up and we have the same tactic as the senior team, and all we were missing was the AMC, and this guy would be good enough to just bring in for an interim period that may be months to fill that role for us. Right, don't use AMRs, so let's just flick through these and make sure none of them are just good enough to justify adding another position to. Just quickly checking this guy, because he's really well rounded, but I'm not quite sure what he would do, to be honest. Just wide midfielder, and I think the passing isn't quite there for what we would want for our team. And then for the up and back one, the all and out attacking one, I think just the strength isn't high enough. Like, yeah, he's not quite there, but he's pretty good. And then the up and back one, which will be much generally better suited, but ideally we would want more like 70 tackling, and then maybe we would consider him. But even then, it's like still 2.2 million, $500,000 wages. We'd have to add a position to him. It's a massive investment and he's a little bit on the old side for what we're looking for. This guy, just too old. Too old and too old. Alright, into the strikers. Not there. Again, close though. Like, we could just get this guy if we needed a striker for our youth team. Yeah, not there. Again, another one that maybe we would just get if we needed one. Pretty good or whatever, but too old for us. Too old, too old. Alright. I think, so in the end, I think it was just... there's a bunch of players that we would probably just buy if it was near the start of the month and we hadn't bought all these other players yet, but they're just not quite there compared to the ones we've got, or they're not a big enough upgrade to sort of justify bothering. Let's just move on to the academy trialists. Alright, this guy's now fully revealed with his dribbling, which came out at 39. This guy's fully revealed as well. Dribbling 21. This guy's now fully revealed. His vision came out, so it's not bad. It's not good. It's okay. Okay, so they're all fully revealed at this point. So we get to make a pretty easy decisions here. So alright, so this guy's, what were we waiting on? This guy's organisation, I think, just come out at 47, so it's on the higher side. Right, so let's just see if there's even anyone else we'd want to bring in, because we don't really want to graduate the two keepers, but right, not good enough. Not good enough. We don't really want another DC, to be honest, but is it more useful than 2 keepers? Don't know. Maybe. These 2 keepers are excellent. I think maybe we do, but maybe this guy isn't quite good enough to be that guy. We'll come back. At the moment, he's the one that I think this guy just not good enough. Not good enough. Not good enough. Not good enough. I think we would rather the other DC. I think. I'm not 100% sure we'll come back. We don't really want a DC regardless. So I think because this guy, for example, is really slow and has really bad aerial ability, which makes it really limited to be able to do much with him as a DC role-wise. To be honest, in a way, it's almost a shame that this vision isn't like really high, because if this vision was really high, then we could make him a DMC and he would be near perfect for us. Yeah, a little bit slow in the air, but it's not as, it's still an issue, obviously, this slow and this bad in the air, just about for any position, quite frankly, but it's way less of an issue for a DMC than a DC. It would almost be perfect then. Yeah, you know, even if it was like 30 or 40 or whatever, but it's 5. It's just a deal breaker. Right. Just not good. He's got 60 max starting speed, really high determination, which is good, but like so many really low things. Another fast right winger. So it's like, oh, he's got 55 determination. Right. A DC. He's got much higher 39 overall, but I think, well, so we've got 4 aerial ability, which is really bad, but at least he's super fast. I'm looking at the wrong guy. Right, so 54, 60, that's great, but 33 tackling is bad. Interestingly, he's got 54 finishing and 59 composure. So interestingly, we could retrain him. Like, we could add striker to him, and then he could be. He's strong. He's got decent dribbling. He could be like a target man. There is something here, I think, as a target man, to be honest. He's like fast, strong, good aerial ability, good finishing, good composure. With the target man role, he wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, there are, obviously he's not perfect. Long shots, the passing and vision isn't great. The other interesting thing is he could drift into the channels as well with that speed and that crossing. He's also got really good control. I don't know, there's a lot here, to be honest. There's a lot to like. Let's just look at the rest. Right. Do not need that keeper. Well, this is an interesting one as well. So I think because we are struggling to find this AMC that has everything that we want. So I think he's slow compared to what we want, but it's not the biggest deal. He's very weak, and we do care about that. But he's got 60 dribbling. He's got decent control. He's finishing composure and long shots. This stuff is good enough. The passing and vision, I think, is a bit low compared to what we want for the start. The speed is a bit low. but not a deal breaker. The strength is super low. The control is low. There's a lot of stuff that's low. And then the determination is really low just to top it off. So even then, if we started him all these matches, you know, if this was like 60 determination, then maybe we would go for him. At the end of the day, this guy's basically just been compared to this DC, who we would have to add the striker position to. I think is never going to be good enough at the DC, I think. So this guy, I think, just some really interesting combination of like super high, like not high, but you know, super nice, well-rounded technicals and physicals, and really low mentals. Yeah, again, just the determination is scaring me away a bit. That low determination, yeah, not good enough, and I think just not good enough. So we're left with basically this AMC, which I think just doesn't make as much sense. Like, this guy could genuinely be really good. So it's worth speculating. And the thing is, to some degree, I suppose we can just bring him off the bench in DC, grab the points, and make the decision whether or not we will add this striker and someone later down the track. I think it's got to be this guy. And then the question is, this natural fitness came out at 4 as well. So then the question becomes, I think, which keeper, because we just don't want two the same age like this. So one is 2, average of 40 versus average of 38. That's not insignificant, that difference. Does it get made up for with 59 determination over the course of a career versus 37 when they're starting every single match? Maybe is the answer. I think we will just go for this guy. It's hard. I'm never really, you know, it's hard to properly conceptualize that difference in determination, to be honest, when they will be thrust straight into the youth team to start every single match from 16 through the whole way through. I guess we will run as a bit of an experiment to some degree. I guess other people may know that, but we don't. Right, I think just decision made. It's pretty crazy, really, to think that we've got a keeper here with an average revealed attribute score of 40, including 54 shot stopping, that we are moving out. It's kind of bonkers, but it's happening. So this guy comes in, and there we go. We're done. So yeah, I think that was mostly DCs that were younger that we were a little bit tempted by before, and we definitely don't need them, because we've got 3 here now, albeit one of them we're intending to train as a striker at some point. And it might be the case that if he gets a position added option at some point as well, that there's a decent chance it would be striker as well, so maybe we don't even have to add one ourselves, possibly. So alright, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you the next one.